Hey everyone, AstroNerdBoy here. Alright, well, final Princess Connect redive video. Thank you, bloody Crunchyroll, for being so awesome about this.
心配することはないよ。
Yes.
私が全部守ってみせるから。
But anyway, that aside, we will do a video about some news from side games, and that will be a separate video. But for now, we're going to discuss, just show where I ended the game. When the announcement came, I pretty much quit. I did record some B-roll footage, so I did finish all the new story modes. But yeah, I didn't get to the new level cap because I didn't care. You know, the game's departure really just depressed the crap out of me. Same thing over here. Ooh, well, I guess I could do the the one very hard one if I wanted, but to be honest, I don't really care. Still at 72 somehow. I think none of these really changed from when I quit about a month ago. And I'm guessing it's just because pretty much everyone is quit as well. I know I've got like 2 or 3 clan members that still actively play. And they decide that, they're going to keep going all out. So, and they burned up all their jewels and everything else, and they did the events that came out. But for me, I mean, it's like, okay, 30 days is all going away. The game immediately becomes pointless, and I have no desire. And it's nothing against my clanmates. I understand they wanted to say, okay, when it ends, where are we at? And whereas I'm like, there's no point. My whole goal when playing this game was to be the best that I could be and to be a help to my clan in clan wars or clan battle. But, man, it's depressing, and it really surprised me because I didn't expect to be as depressed as I was. So, we're going to talk about this in the second part, but for now, this is where my characters, where I did do some leveling up of some of them, just because I wanted to make sure I could get through the new content okay for the B-roll footage. So, you see there. I didn't like that they changed the tag thing to the external. Is kind of a pain in the butt. It was okay, I guess. I mean, if you want to just click it and, hey, now it's tagged and now it's untagged. I don't know that it was a quality of life improvement. It would have been if, like, you go into the character and then you could still tag or untag while you're inside. But it was like before you tagged it when you were inside the character. And it made sense to me because I'd be like, okay, I'm working on New Year's Carol, and let me tag it because I need to be reminded. Whereas now it's like, nope, you got to tag it only from the outside. So, I guess it's 6 one way, half a dozen another. Getting it a little bit into some final thoughts deal. But yeah, I was working on quite a few characters to for their future 6-star runs and all that other fun stuff, and obviously all that was for naught because the game is dead in America in one day as I record this, and in JP, of course, the game still continues 2 years ahead of where we were in America. So, yeah. As the game went, I'm very happy with the progress I made. I was able to, in the last clan battle, hit the number 1 slot, and that's over people who had been playing since day 1 of the global release. So, I was really happy about that. It just goes to show how far I had progressed as a player. And when I say I was number 1 in the clan battle, it wasn't because I was doing the hardcore, time thing. This is just auto, and I was still number 1. So Yeah, and it's not to brag. Normally, I was like number 5. Maybe, that was usually about where I was at. But in this last one, I just had the right characters and just managed to just do some stellar damage that I'd never done before. So, including with New Year's Carol, who in every other clan battle, she's supposed to be totally amazing, and yet, she would barely scratch. And in this last clan battle, she was just kicking butt, which is how I got number 1. So, but we're going to go into the next phase since I've looked at my roster and stuff, and you've got an idea of where everything was at. So, thoughts about the game. So, the one nice thing about the game is that it's an auto player. And this is also, it's a negative. Depends on your point of view. But for me, when I was playing the game initially, I really hated the fact that you had no control. The only control you had is you'd take the auto off and the characters still play automatically. It's just that their ultimates do not go off unless you actually click the OK, as you see on the screen there. And that was your only control when they did their ultimates and when they did not. And that's what the timed runs were for Clan Battle. People would just like wait to see when X or Y character did X or Y attack, and then and they'd save the ultimate until that happened. So, and that's how they would try to maximize damage in Clan Battle. So, but as time went on, I began, especially with my job being so busy, the autoplay factor was actually kind of nice. Because then I didn't have to think, and it wasn't nearly the time sink. I could just turn it on and just let it run through. And especially if I knew I had a pretty powerful team like I've got on the screen here, going through some of the content, and I knew it would just blow through it, and it wouldn't be an issue for me. So, autoplayer is both good and bad. I'm not going to lie, though, there are times when I really, really, really wish this game allowed you to actually play it in a way that, you could control the attacks, you could control the positioning of the characters, you could control everything. That's kind of a hit or miss, but in the end, I got to where I appreciated the autoplayer factor of the game, which leads me to my next thought. So this is a hybrid game as far as a gacha/hero collector. So what do I mean by that? Well, you've got your gacha system, and of course, in all gachas, there's like a rate up character, which is this character right here on screen, and as such, this is how you pull them for the first time. This is the only way to get them. Now, there are some characters who are limited, who are only in the gacha, but there are some who are farmable. So, if we take a look at my roster again, let's go down to the bottom. So you see, these are all characters who are farmable right now, or unlockable. Now, I don't know if this character right here was limited or not. I haven't bothered to look. These characters are not. That's why they're there. And they were the ones that I have not unlocked yet. But if they were not limited, that means that I can farm them somewhere, either in a store or in a node to character shard farm them, which is over here in the hard section. So these were nodes that were just unlocked. So if I needed to farm this character right here, I could do it. And I'm using auto completion. And I got one more shard of her. So I can collect. And that is a way of unlocking the characters if you didn't want to go through the gacha. So if we look back at my character deal, this is a character that was in the gacha, but I just hadn't I had not pulled them in the gacha. Now, one of the strategies of the game was to not unlock them via farming, because if you get the character after they're unlocked in the gacha, then the shards just go to divine amulet or whatever it's called, currency in the currency store, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But on the other hand, if you unlock the character via the gacha, and then you've already farmed enough to unlock the character, then you have already put them up to the next star level. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and unlock it because the game's over, so who cares? So now then it's going to tell me that, yay, I've unlocked the character. Lovely me. So yeah, so it's kind of, you know, it's you know, she's a, if you watch the anime adaptation of this, you kind of know she's kind of a timid, shy character, and you know, these are her friends at the school that she attends. So now then she's been unlocked. So now then, if I want to go find her, I have to go hunt her up. Let me go do that real quick. And so as you see, now that she's unlocked, I can do whatever. But see, I had 49 additional shards to get her to her next star level. So once you unlock the characters, you know, you can farm up their star levels. So it's not like getting a 3-star character. They stay at 3 stars like a Fate Grand Order. This is more like a Marvel Strike Force or Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, where you can up their star level by farming for their shards. Now again, the limited characters, obviously there's never going to be a way to farm for their shards, but then that's what this divine amulet store was for. So you see, there she is. If she was limited, which she's not, but if she was limited, Kyoko Halloween is limited. So if you want to get her to the next star level, you need to keep buying her shards out of this store, and that's what this store was for. So so I did like the fact that it was a hybrid, that you could farm characters, and I thought that was a good thing. On the negative is how the game treats the characters. Now, in a normal game, you just max them out. You take like Pecorine here, you max her level out, you max her rank out, you do all that fun stuff, right? Makes sense. That's what you should do. However, the game is set up, and it doesn't tell you this. This is something that you have to kind of learn the hard way, is that there are certain levels that you don't take your characters beyond, and it's what I call sandbagging. Every other game I've ever played does not like sandbagging. Sandbagging is anytime they catch it, the developers change it to force you to level up the characters. But for some weirdo reason, Cygames and obviously Crunchyroll for the English deal did not enforce this. In fact, Cygames, from what I understand, made it so that, like, if you took a character's star ranking, now I've got this Kokoro up to 6 stars. 5 is normal, and then eventually they give you a 6th that you can go through quest and all this other fun stuff, extra farming, and unlock their 6th star when they release it. But the character is not to be maxed out. Sorry about the pause there. Look at this. Her unique. You have to put in the unique to get her to 6 stars, and at 6 stars she's still a better character, but you need to sandbag to keep this down, because the higher her defense, the less her ultimate will proc, her Union Burst. And you want these characters to fire off their Union Burst as often as possible. And like I said earlier, it's an autoplay game, so you don't have you don't control when these things happen. Not much. You kind of have to, if you want any level of control when you're doing the the manual fire off the UB. If you want that UB to charge up as fast as possible so you can control it, then you need to, and for some characters, they have to be sandbagged. And there's a whole chart out there online that someone maintains a Google Doc to specify, hey, these are the ranks you take these characters. Now, in JP, when the characters are new and no one knows anything about them, I don't know how you get around that. What I've understood in the JP server is that, like, the Ascension, I don't know about 6 stars. I don't know if you can roll back 6 stars, but that you could possibly roll back stars. So, like, maybe in one situation you need them at 4 stars to get a little bit extra oomph, and then roll it back to 3 for normal deals. And I don't know if you can roll back skills, because some characters, it's like, don't level up skill X. And, most of them, it's like, yeah, like Kokoro, don't take her past rank 14 with only this one piece, and then only take this one piece to 3 stars when you level it up. So, on one hand, it is nice to save resources. So, yeah, I didn't have to take her to rank 16. That's a lot of farming I didn't have to do. But on the other hand, if you want to play hardcore in this game and really get those top scores in clan battle, you got to sandbag. And I think sandbagging is terrible. It's the worst part about this game. It's the one thing that really ticked me off. So, a positive thing I like is that the game was very free to play friendly. Now, I've already mentioned how the gacha system, it's a hybrid, so that some characters, even if they're in the gacha, can be unlocked manually if they're farmable. And that's a free to play friendly thing. Now, most hero collector games, all the characters become farmable after a period of time. Now, granted, as people who play Marvel Strike Force right now, as I record this, know, some characters they've kept locked up behind a paywall for ages and not released them for farming. But in Princess Connect Redive, certain characters are just they're always going to be behind a paywall. But you can pull for them, you can get them. And there are times when, they'll do deals where older characters that are limited, will get re-released and have a rate up. And that's kind of nice. The game also had periodic, but not too uncommon, deals where you could go into the gacha and then you'd get a free 10 pull. And a lot of times these would run once a day for 10 days. I mean, it was pretty amazing. And then, as you see here on the side here, this new rate up character, you see that they get an extra 100 shards if you pull for them. So if you're going to take the character to 4 stars, you're already 100 shards closer to your goal, and you only need 20 more to get it. So it saves you in the Divine Amulet store from having to spend as much currency there. That's a positive. I think that's really, really good. The game frequently, at least on the NA servers, I can't speak for the JP servers, but on the NA servers, there were quite a number of big big jewel bonuses that would be given in the presents. So you'd come in here and like, oh, okay, I've got my my gift of whatever, 1,500 jewels or whatever. And I thought that's why I have so many. And I don't think the store, well, no, it still does. Okay, I'm actually surprised. I didn't think they were letting people buy stuff anymore. I thought they had closed the store down. But there was it's not here, maybe that's all they did. But there was a pack where you could buy, and over a period of 30 days, it would give you jewels and stuff. And it was, like $8 for the month. And I did pay that because at the time I'm like, yeah, I want to support the game. So, $8 a month was not that big of an expenditure for me. Now, don't get me wrong. for most people, there's a lot of people who are, $8 is a lot of money, and they need to spend that in better places. So if you didn't spend money, this is not a jab at you. But for me personally, yeah, I had some extra revenue working all the overtime that I work. And so, yeah, I did want to support the game. So I did spend the $8 a month. And that was about it. And that may have been one of the game's downfalls, because probably it doesn't seem like a lot of people were spending money. Last month, I think that I saw the revenue was like $100,000 for Crunchyroll, whereas in JP it was like 4 million for the month. So, but Crunchyroll some months was getting 400,000. Now we could do a whole other video discussing what Crunchyroll should and shouldn't have done, and who knows, if there's demand for it, maybe I'll do it. But that aside, the game was very free to play friendly, and I always thought that they should have had more of these things, especially to help people who want to catch up, because there are people who do want to spend. And if you were starting the game today, like on the JP server, let's say the JP server had an English UI that you could just switch it from JP to English. Some players who were from the global server would probably more than happily spend money to, like, this new player support pack to buy a whole bunch of stuff to try to get caught up. A lot of games do sell these things, and there were a few here, but I don't think anyone was buying these. And so, yeah. But the game was very free to play friendly. I'm rambling. And that was a big positive for me. So, there's that. Now, I talked about this a bit before. One of the fun and sometimes irritating aspects of the game was clan battle. Now, early on, clan battle was a lot of fun because you would go in there and could do just massive damage if you had good teams. Like I said earlier, I had in this last clan battle teams to where I could just really kick bottom. Now, I didn't play the last day of the clan battle because we got the announcement that the game was over, and I was like, okay, I'm done. But the clan battle was a lot of fun on the whole. Like I mentioned earlier, if you wanted to play hardcore, you had to do sandbagging. You had to know what to sandbag and where, and have all these time sheets to try to get maximum deals. Our clan was never like that. We just all were auto players. But even still, you still wanted to have characters set up in a fashion, a sandbagged fashion, so that they would still do more damage than, say, if you maxed out a certain character, whereas they wouldn't, proc as often on their UB. So clan battles were fun. As time went on and you did these loops through all the different monsters, it would get harder. I think the first 4 were easy. The first 4 loops were easy, I think, and then maybe 5 through 10 were, a little bit harder. And then I don't remember the numbers, so, but at some point in time, you would loop the battles enough to where you'd hit level 4 hardness. And at that point in time, it kind of, a lot of times, was just not very fun. Not to me. In fact, it was quite frustrating because characters that you had that were kicking bottom earlier, suddenly, they're getting insta-killed or something, and it was kind of frustrating, and you couldn't do the damage that you wanted to do. But, clan battles were always very fun at the start. Not so much at the end a lot of times, at least for me, especially if I was short on time and I'm trying to do my best to help the clan get a high ranking. Now, I know 545, as you see in the over there, is not very high, but yet for us it is, because I think when I started we were in the 700s, and so and we didn't even have a full clan, and we jumped up to 545, which is, I think, our highest ever rank. So and that's just a casual clan, and we're not doing timelines, and we're just playing auto. So yeah, clan battles, fun, frustrating, but I guess overall fun. So another fun aspect of the game is, in a lot of games have this, is the campaigns and these events and event quests, and it was a chance for you to get character shards for characters, some of them that were unique to the event itself, and some that were not so much. Sometimes the characters that you could get out of the event were characters that were in a store that, like the clan battle store, where the currency, you got so little currency, it was really hard to farm for these characters, and so a character event would give you an opportunity to farm for characters that you might otherwise have difficulty farming for. And it was also kind of cool for characters that, maybe you were farming for them anyway, and they would have their additional shards to help you get to those 4th star, 5th star, if you weren't sandbagging them. If you were sandbagging them, well, the shards didn't mean much. And it was also another way to get more resources and stuff, and it was pretty much pretty fun. There was a boss fights that you could do to get all kinds of stuff for. There were additional rewards, jewels. We talked about it being fairly free to play friendly, and there were a lot of jewels. Now this is locked because I haven't played the deal, but like if you did the special boss, there was all kinds of extra jewels and rewards that you could get. Now as a new player, you weren't going to do the special boss, but once you'd hit, gotten yourself toward the where the game was in terms of max level and quite a number of good characters, you could probably have enough characters to take down the special boss. But yeah, so campaign events, I did like them. They were a bit of a time sink though when they happened, because you got to farm all these normal nodes and you got to farm all these hard nodes, and the hard nodes is where all the characters are, and then you got to fight these bosses. And so, but then there's also a story in which you can get extra jewels for going through the story. So, and then if you've ever played Fate Grand Order, you knew about the I can't remember what they called it, the lottery events. Every character event in Princess Connect had a lottery event, which they called Metal Gacha, which was another fun thing. You get more shards, more jewels, more everything in the game. So these events were very generous, and the rewards you got for the time you spent were well worth it. Unlike Fate Grand Order, where I often felt that the rewards were not worth the time you spent in game. For Princess Connect, the rewards were worth it. And again, that's another reason why this game was so free to play friendly. And while we're on the topic of free to play friendly still, from time to time, like right here, if I was playing in the event, I'm not at max cap yet, so the experience I would get by going through the event would be 1.5, so I would level up faster, which, gets my characters to stronger levels. But they also had events where you would do, let's go into the quest thing here, where like the hard nodes would drop maybe 2x loot or 3x loot from time to time. And so those were amazing, especially if you were character shard farming. You'd want to hit these nodes and farm for these characters when they had 2x drops, and especially if they had 3x, you'd do refreshes. So yeah, those are really good. And the same thing over here in the this is where you would farm for all the mats, and they would have fairly frequent 2x drops and the occasional 3x drops, and it was pretty cool. Now the downside was that sometimes they would, and this may or may not be a Crunchyroll deal, but sometimes a lot of these events would start overlapping, and to do all this farming, you would need a lot of energy, a lot of stamina, and not have it, and it was kind of frustrating. So, but it is what it is. But yeah, I did like how the game had many opportunities to get the shards that I want at a higher drop rate. Well, not a higher drop rate, but at higher multiples, because like 3 times 0 is still 0. So another negative is if we were going into JP today with an English UI, I would not be able to get these 3 characters from ReZero crossover, because they do the event once, they do one rerun, and then that's it. Now, it's not like these characters, as you see, I didn't work on them, were all that good. But if you're a hero collector, which I am, it kind of sucks that you would do these limited, ultra limited releases of certain crossover characters, and then, well, that's it, done. I mean, I would be frustrated just because I want to collect them all. There should be a way for this game to, even for these old crossover characters, these limited ones, to be able to get them. But there wasn't. Not that I ever did much with this, but you have like a clubhouse, a Guildhouse, that you can put characters, and this is where you could take them and get them bond levels very quickly. The higher their bond levels, the more bonuses they get. But as you see here, and I haven't collected these just because I haven't been playing, but you can get extra stamina, extra mana, which is used for, it's a currency to help level up your characters. But then you can do some designs, kind of like I've seen this in Azur Lane and stuff, where you got all these different floors for your characters to roam around on. It's not quite as elaborate as Azur Lane's is. It's kind of more simplistic, but you want to play house, you can do it. Sometimes it's kind of fun it was kind of fun to see what other people would do with their houses, because some people really went all out, and now this is someone who's kind of lower level, but yeah, you could give them a like, get a little bit of free currency to stock up your own place. And yeah, it was kind of neat. Like I said, I didn't do much, and yet I've done more than I thought. But to be honest, I didn't do a lot. I mean, once I set up the stuff the way I got it, I mean, I never went in here and bought anything else that you could do to make the store, your place, better. Not a store, but your clubhouse. But it was kind of fun. It was a neat thing if you're into that kind of thing. So yeah, didn't do anything other than on this first, these things that you earn down here. But other than that, everything is just kind of cosmetic and just kind of, just a fun thing just to see your characters kind of roaming around and being dumb. So that's kind of a highlight of everything that I could think of. I've already been going for over half an hour, and I doubt anyone's watching that far. But if you did, I really appreciate it. There's probably other things I could talk about, but that's kind of the highlights. I would go to the JP server, but there is a way that you can do it and get a fan translated UI. But I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. If Side Games re-releases it, I might come back to it, especially if my old clan members are our game. For them, I would definitely do it. But anyway, I'm gonna miss this game. I'm not gonna lie. I've never had a game end. I've had lots of games end. I mean, that it's like, yeah, that's kind of a bummer. And then you just go on with life. And I've quit games, obviously. And it's kind of, yeah, it's a bummer, but life goes on. But this is the first game that where the rug has been pulled from me, and it's actually affected me. Maybe it's because I like to think that it's because I had such great clan members, and they were fun to just chat with, not just about the game, but just about other stuff. And I had great clan members, Gowry and all the rest of you. Gower was our clan leader, who helped me and took me in when I was a new player with not much to offer. And by the end, I became a player who was a major contributor. And it's all thanks to their tutelage and tips and pointing me to resources to help me out, and allowing me to do stuff to try to help other people as well. So I'm gonna miss all the camaraderie. I mean, I'm still in my clan's Discord, so we can still keep in touch. But I know how these things go. People, life goes on. You move on, and go your separate ways. But yeah, it's really sad to see this game. I hadn't realized how much I enjoyed it as a whole until Crunchyroll said, "Yeah, we're yanking it," and so yeah, it's a bummer. But like I said, if Side Games decides to bring it back, and I realize if they bring it back, it's either going to be fresh, starting over from level 1, or it'll be a English UI of the JP game, which will mean there's a lot of characters that I'll never be able to get. And that kind of sucks. But I don't know. But we'll see if that happens. If it does, expect a video. If not, I have other stuff on my channel you can watch, and I've got my AstroNerdBoy rambling for other things. So, with that aside, like, subscribe, and all the other stuff. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video.